Remember the 5th of November with the CU Podcast. Alongside Ian Ferguson, I'm Pat Contry. Oh, we got something of a podcast today. We're going to cobble this one together. We'll be speaking about...
Nothing happened over the weekend.
WWE Crown Jewel, BlizzCon, our favorite time of the year. We should have an anniversary celebration of BlizzCon, and our good old Diablo Immortal. Martin Scorsese penning an op-ed piece on Marvel movies and why they're not cinema to him. That's interesting. Valve removing CSGO key buying and selling. Patreon poll topic and Q&A. Ian, before we get into things, how was your weekend?
It was good. I went and saw Zombieland 2 with Vonnie last night.
That's Trick Boogaloo.
A few weeks after it came out.
It's been up for a few weeks already, or 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think it came out. When we were in Portland.
Did it? Well, it's only 2 weeks ago.
So, the first movie was actually, it wasn't really our first, it was our first date. That's what we call it. So
Aww.
We were, never thought there was going to be a sequel to the movie. And then over the summer, I saw an announcement pop up, and initially it was supposed to come out on the same day that it came, the original one came out.
Was that in October?
October 11th. But they pushed it off a week. So we finally went and saw it. I was surprised that it was actually pretty damn good. Same writers, same director, same producers, same cast.
I thought they were supposed to make this 5-6 years ago originally, and maybe this never happened.
I don't even remember that. I don't remember there being any talk about it. And then, it was funny. And
the little girl's all grown up now.
Yeah.
She's like a teenager. She's like 18 or 20 or whatever.
Yeah. She was 11 in the movie, so 21 now.
And then Emma Stone goes from being just an up-and-coming actress to now she's one of the biggest actresses around.
Yeah. So, no, it was a good cast, and not every joke hit perfectly, but honestly, it was a good zombie movie, and there was some genuinely funny stuff in there, so I'm happy I saw it.
Well, Woody Harrelson's good in everything, and Jesse Eisenberg's, fun.
Yeah, no, they're both very good.
The cast is too good for this type of movie, so that makes it better.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of it. It's with a cast like that, you're gonna get something decent out of it.
And there was another zombie movie that was making the rounds with Bill Murray in it as a police, like a small town sheriff. With you see that one that's coming out? Let's see, zombie movie, Bill Murray. It just came to mind. What the hell was that one coming out? The Dead Don't Die. It's a focus feature, a smaller one, and the cast is insane in this movie. Adam Driver and Tilda Swinton are in it. So this is a really talk about a cast that you don't need for a zombie movie. But when did this come out already? Oh, it came out in June. I didn't hear anything about this.
There you go.
I would have saw this in the theaters. So more of an indie or Steve Buscemi, Tilda Swinton have cameos. Chloe Savini. Danny Glover's in it, Rosie Perez, Iggy Pop, Selena Gomez. So almost sounds like a Mars Attack sort of deal where they got a bunch of cameos.
I remember hearing about it. I didn't know that it actually came out because I remember seeing pictures of Bill Murray and Selena Gomez on press.
Would have been good to see this in the theater.
Would have been.
Yeah, well, that goes into another topic we'll get into later.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later.
I remember seeing the trailers for this, and then I was like, "Oh, did this come out?" And it came out 5-6 months ago. But the main stars are Tilda Swinton, Adam Driver, and Bill Murray in a zombie movie, a small town zombie. It sounds incredible, And the Riz is in it.
Steve Buscemi. I was gonna say RZA. Man, that's a
Tom Waits.
Yeah, that's a cast.
That's a cast for sure. It's a lot of favors got phoned in for that, and it did only 14 million at the box office. There you go, because it's a focus features. That's Sony's smaller little indie sort of label there. Anyway, well, that's good. You had fun. Real quick before I get into my weekend, new NES Punk video, Ian. It's Christmas. It's Halloween. It came out in Halloween in Hawaii. It came out 12:30 a.m. on the first. That's the best you're going to get from me for a Halloween video, though. Not a week behind. That's pretty damn
close,
good.
Yeah.
That's close. And that was not an inspiration, but I got some sort of weird energy about we'll just say a week and a half ago. I was like, you know what? I want to write this real quick because the writing part's easy. So I did a little Twitch thing of me playing Monster in My Pocket. That's the review. And then I had my pal Pixel Dan film a little help to just explain the toy line. We worked it in a funny way, and it sets up the next NES Punk video. There will be one in November, Ian.
Oh,
it's going to be a biggie. It's going to be a biggie. Might be a collab, you can say. You want a collab, Ian, sometimes?
No.
No, you don't. No. Later on the same day on November 1st, you got a 2 for Pat block. My rental review with Kieran and James on the Cinemaster channel came out, and we reviewed arguably the most testosterone-filled movie ever, Predator. We filmed there, and we talked about the backstory, how Van Damme was originally the monster, how the shoot was hell on earth. I didn't get into some of the things, how like Sonny Landon needed a bodyguard to keep people away from him because he was just a nutcase who played Billy, the Native American soldier. Lots of fun thing how Shane Black was in it, who played Hawkins, who helped write it, and also went on to do Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, The Good Guys, Iron Man 3, things like that. Lethal Weapon, Shane Black.
Is there any discussion of sexual tyrannosauruses?
I think that line came up.
Okay.
I talked a lot about Bill Duke, who played Mac, because I loved his character in that movie. And what was nice about Predator was that, I don't want to say it was a thinking man's action film at the time, but there was a lot of good interplay, and there were small character arcs between almost all the soldiers in it. And none of them were played out to be like, oh, this is the asshole of the group. Right. It was like a real military unit. Like, they all had camaraderie, and that was impressive about it. And they all trained before the movie, I think, for a couple of months before, in order to act and sort of sound more like a real, guerrilla group there. No, check out that review on the Cinemaster channel. I think it was a great discussion all three of us had. I didn't dominate the conversation too much like I can tend to do. So that was there. Real quick, Nintendo Age is now gone, really. So when you go to NintendoAge.com, Ian, our favorite website goes to connect.gocollect.com there. So they still have there are forums still there. So the archived Nintendo Age posts, fortunately, they have archived the Nintendo Age posts in its own little category, and you can search by them. Let's see. Let me see if I type in M82, what happens on the search there, if it comes up there. But it's definitely a home now for what you think it's going to be. It's going to highlight, okay, M82, it works. So the search works, so that's good. But when you go to the home here, first thing you see, Ian, is the Video Games Investors Pit, the place to talk speculation, market analysis, variance, and more. That's why this site was bought. It was bought for the sealed grading market and those collectors, so that's why everyone went to Video Game. They're going to Video Game Sage now.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, Video Game Investor. Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
And there is a general game discussion, but people, the first post on the general video game discussion is rest in peace NA. Is there a forum people are moving to? So rest in peace NA. There you go. So it is what it is. One post here about a major small cache of Sega Genesis Mega Drive prototypes found. That's pretty cool. So maybe there'll still be news posted here from time to time here. So there you go. Anyway, what else is going to talk about? Oh, real quick, before we get into Crown Jewel, my trip to Syracuse Retro Game Con went very well. When I actually arrived there, Ian, I sold some guidebooks. Updating the book. So right now the book's it's in kitting mode. Kitting, which means it's getting bubble wrapped. So several thousand books are being bubble wrapped by the fine folks in the Michigan warehouse. So the pre-orders and Kickstarters should start to go out this week. That's the good news. Double fist pump in the air there. So that's good. So in Syracuse, Ian, I had fun there. I had some local Syracuse pizza, not quite the Long Island pizza. It was like 50% Long Island pizza, but still better than our pizza here.
It's going to be better than most of what you find here.
You got some of the taste, but not all of it here. And I got a meatball sandwich, and and I hung out and I saw Rocco. Rocco, the Wonder Dog, is doing a bit better. Not out of the woods yet, but he's starting to slowly put on some weight.
That's good.
I've tweeted out the GoFundMe to help out Rocco, the dog, because he's having issues with his kidneys. But he's slowly on the mend, but he still needs some help and some cash. If you guys can afford it, check out the GoFundMe. But my travel day, Ian, was hell on earth. So this is how my travel day started, and it was November 1st. So that Friday. And whenever you travel if people don't travel a lot, whenever you travel from west to east coast, the whole day's shot. Because it's at least the best you're going to do is a 5-hour direct flight, and then plus you lose 3 hours.
Right.
So it's 8 hours you lose of the day. So I want to try to get there by like 5 p.m. To do that, you need a 6 a.m. flight to get there, at least for Syracuse. Because Syracuse, there's no direct flights from San Diego. The best you do is like a transfer somewhere. And this was going to be a transfer in Charlotte, of all places. So you waste time going all the way east, then you go up north. It wasn't even a direct path, like going through Chicago. So anyway, So I had a 6 a.m. flight booked. I get my NES Punk video out literally 12:30. I pack at like 2 in the morning, and I'm done. I go to sleep. I get 4 hours. I get 2 hours of sleep. I get up at 4 a.m. Get to the airport at 4:30 a.m. The flight's delayed. 4 hours until 10 a.m. American Airlines tells me. I couldn't get an app alert about it. That would have been nice. I could have slept in. I show up there. And you know what? My first knew that? There was a huge ass line at the customer service for American Airlines.
So when you walked in,
I'm like,
obvious.
But then I looked at I was like, okay. So I go and I say, okay. And then the lady behind the counter was not nice at all. Customer service woman. I said, yeah, I see that the my flight's been delayed. I like to see what's going on because I might miss my my connection. And then she said, just give me your ID. And okay, I was doing it. I was in the middle of doing it. There's a history of me in the show, Ian, where customer service people are just overtly, unnecessarily rude to me, whether it's people at the post office, people working at the UPS store. There's just people that just don't like my face, I guess, and are just really mean to me. Anyway, for no reason. So it turns out that it's really going to be more of a noon flight. So I was like, okay, noon now? Really, noon. So they switched it to noon. So I was like, all right. So then I realized if it's a noon flight, I'm going to miss my connection in Charlotte because my connection in Charlotte was like 3.
Right.
So then I'm like, now I'm starting to semi-panic. So she worked it out. I said, okay, well, there's a flight there at 10 o'clock, and that's all you get. Basically like that. She said like that. I was like, oh, I don't have a choice. She's like, no, that's it. So I'm like, okay, sure. There's my whole day's shop, but at least I get to Syracuse. I can, get there and set up Saturday morning. So all right, I go back home then. I go back home, get home at like 5:15, 5:30. I sleep until 10. It's like that anxiety, anger sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm talking about. So like you're not fully rested.
I can't get that sort of sleep.
I get up at 10. Oh, by the way, before I left, she said, you want to get here early because things can change. I said, all right, I'll be fine getting here when I get here because it's rare where the flight gets moved back up. And I assumed that the flight was going to be fine for 12.
Sure.
Get to the airport at 10:30. The flight's not good for 12 anymore. It's now pushed back to 2. Again, I was not alerted beforehand, but this time it made sense. So I go back to the customer service again in a long line because you don't have a choice. I talked to a nicer service agent, this nice middle-aged man, and he said, let's get you to Syracuse. I'm like, let's do it. I had to take 3 different flights to get to Syracuse. Not just 2, 3. So I had
2 layovers, 3 total flights.
Yes, Ian. And rushing layovers because now it's so time compressed. So flying from 2 o'clock, now 2 o'clock to get to Phoenix. Rush from Phoenix, literally like 45 minutes in between flights. So that's when they almost start to board. Rush to get to the next flight. They get from Phoenix to Charlotte again. I don't know why they go through Charlotte, and then to go from Charlotte up to Syracuse. So I did all that fun time. When I get to Charlotte though, Ian, I still have 2 hours to go. I'm cranky. I'm tired. I was sick. I had snot dribbling down my nose like from the second flight on. I've been sick the last 3 weeks. You can attest to that. I'm finally starting to get better. So the Charlotte airport, Ian, is set up like a mall almost. There's a central hub between all the terminals where it's like, oh, this is nice. It's like there's a bunch of stores on the side. It's almost like a mall. There's some shopping. So I gotta hit the bathroom just real quick. There's snot coming out of my nose. Like I'm just like I'm carrying around my big stand-up, my pull-up banner. I'm done with the day. At this point, it's been about 14 hours of travel time between when I got up and then. I go down this little corridor. There's like a little frozen yogurt place there, like healthy frozen yogurt place. There's a little bathroom. I open the door in the bathroom and no one's in there. I'm like, this is fantastic. There's no one in the bathroom. And I turn, then there's an attendant there who was dressed up like fairly nicely, almost like he was like a guy in a restaurant who gives you a mitt and hands you, the towel to dry your hands off. So it was kind of weirded out, but I think he was just the janitor. But he was dressed up nice, and he went like this. He gestured, like, "Oh, go use it," like just like that. Barely spoke anything to me. So I stagger over. I wasn't even going to the bathroom. I had to blow my nose because it was all fucking snot and clogged. I blow my nose, like you know how I blow my nose. I'll give you an example. I don't have a tissue, but when I blow my nose, I'm pretty loud. It's like a horn, a little bit.
Yes, it is.
I wash my hands. I turn around. He looks at me and goes, I stopped. Like I thought maybe he was trying to communicate something to me. Like he was like a mute. person. So I start to walk again to leave. And again, he goes, huh, huh. And he gives me a little wry smile. And I stop and I turn and I say, are you making fun of how I blew my nose? He looked at me, smiled, he didn't say anything, and went, huh, huh. I swear to God, Ian,
Oh my God.
for a quarter second, I thought, could I murder this random person and get away with it? I could not believe that was happening after that day at that point in time.
Oh my God.
This 7-year-old janitor was making fun of me how I was blowing my nose while I was in probably the worst state of mind I had been in a while after this day. That was still going on, by the way. I had one more flight left. And to my credit, I didn't murder him because I think I figured out the cameras from the outside would know when I would come in and out. There's no cameras in the bathroom but outside. And, I walked out and grit my teeth and I said, all right, one more flight to go. I didn't call him any names. I think I cursed at him after I got out of the bathroom. I think I cursed at him under my breath. But yeah, that was my Friday. That was my Friday traveling. That was my fun day.
Oh boy.
You want to talk about WWE Crown Jewel a little bit? Just a little bit.
Go for it.
So Crown Jewel was the fourth event in Saudi Arabia. They're doing 2 a year for 10 years. WWE events in Saudi Arabia. It sounded like it was a swell show,
Both
Ian.
in ring and after.
Yeah, let's talk about the in ring at first. The big ones were Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar. Oh, it was a monumental battle. So much ring psychology. No, it was a two minute match that had Brock Lesnar on his back getting punched by Cain Velasquez. They treated it like an MMA fight, and then Brock Lesnar caught him in a Kimura lock, and he won. There you go. Thanks for coming. Glad you beat Kofi Kingston in 3 seconds for that match. I really needed that to happen.
Yeah, what a payoff.
And then Brock then ends up, which they thought was going to happen, ends up leaving SmackDown after only being on SmackDown for a month, and is now the guy on Raw. Because they had a rematch from the Hell in the Cell between Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt won. They corrected their error, which WWE always does too late. They put the belt on Bray Wyatt. Seth Rollins was on Raw, though. Bray Wyatt was on SmackDown, so now there's champions on both shows now again. So the whole thing's a cluster F in terms of the booking with the championships. There, they had an awful fight between Braun Strowman and the boxer Tyson Fury.
So this is the one I'm reading up on right now, is this Fury Strowman match, and it seems like it would have been a mess. What happened to fucking Strowman?
Strowman should have been champion 2.5 years ago.
Yeah,
and they've totally, like they always do. They never pull the trigger when a guy is hot. They should have had a Strowman Brock Lesnar match. I think they did eventually have some sort of match between them, and then Strowman lost, so they ruined him. The same way they've ruined in the past, ruining Dolph Ziggler and Bray Wyatt 4 years ago, who should have been the biggest thing, and now is on the comeback, thankfully for him. They always never pull the trigger on this stuff. They just don't do it.
right.
They don't go with the hot hand. They got drag kicking and screaming with Daniel Bryan, whatever that was 5 years ago. They just don't do it.
I mean, if people are gonna bitch, why not? Anyways, if their default now is people complaining, why not try the risk? Why not?
Because I think they have a built-in safety audience that's always going to be there at this point. It's a product. It's not It's not really a wrestling product, or it's an entertainment product. Wrestling is like secondary.
Right.
So this Tyson Fury thing sounded horrible, but Tyson Fury probably got like $12 million to show up and do an 8-minute match. Lesnar shows up for these matches and gets paid $1 million, and I think someone said all the Lesnar matches in Saudi Arabia combined have been like 20 minutes, all 4 matches that he's done. Something like that.
I don't even know who Tyson Fury is. Now
he's the lineal heavyweight champion. He's undefeated heavyweight champion. He's going to have he's one of the 3 or 4 biggest heavyweight boxers in the world. He's going to fight. There's going to be a big fight in February between him and the guy he had the fight to a draw last year. Remember, he got knocked down. He came back up like the Undertaker. That's Tyson Fury.
Okay, right.
He's 31. Let's see, who is he fighting? What the hell is his name? Deontay Wilder. That's going to be a huge fight next year. The heavyweight division of boxing for the first time in like 20 years is exciting again. So that's going to be a big fight.
Oh, so this was a real boxer versus
a real
match.
a real boxer.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he's like 6'8". He's a big guy. Something like that. 6'9". Yeah, he's a real boxer. Undefeated, like I said. So yeah, they set up a weird feud with Braun Strowman in a couple of weeks, and then You get them because some Saudi king wants to see it, and so they do it.
Right.
They pull the strings and give us the money.
Make my action figures.
Yes,
play.
exactly. At least there wasn't a Goldberg Undertaker match where Undertaker almost gets killed because Goldberg almost kills him. At least we didn't have that.
They both looked awful in that match. Sorry, I'm not going to defend Undertaker either.
No. Well, Goldberg's never looked good in a match.
No.
But Undertaker can work with someone even at older age if someone's decent. But together, no.
I watched that mess, and yes, Goldberg was the main issue, but Undertaker fucked up plenty. It was not a one-sided Goldberger fight.
They're both over 50.
It was or
about 50. Yeah.
Holy shit, that was a bad match.
So the problem with these events, Ian, is that they book it like a pay-per-view. They book towards these crappy events that everyone knows is going to be garbage.
Right.
So the whole month gets stopped off, and now we got to do these things and weird stuff like the Tyson Fury. So it's almost like a mini WrestleMania now. These Saudi Arabia events, you can say, 'cause they do weird shit like the Tyson Fury stuff that they don't usually do. Then they had the first women's match in Saudi Arabia. I'll give them a slight applause for that between Natalya and Lacey Evans. That's a step forward, even though they both had to wear gigantic oversized T-shirts because we don't want to see any body parts on a woman at all. We can't do that. So the T-shirts covered their ass. They went all the way down. It's progress, I guess. If it's 1910, it's progress. It's better than nothing, but that was a big deal, I guess. And the crowd seemed to like it, so that's good because probably the younger people are more progressive and don't mind seeing a woman's shoulder. So there you go. And then they had the Team Hogan versus Team Flair thing at the end. Who the hell cares? But Ian, the main news was the fact that most of the wrestlers, not all, but most of the wrestlers got stuck there.
Yes.
In Saudi Arabia with the SmackDown live taping coming the next day.
Right.
So that was the issue.
Yeah, and a lot of people were saying, that it was kidnapping and that it was money related. And I mean, the whole thing sounds like a fucking nightmare. I would not have wanted to have been part of that.
So SmackDown almost wasn't a thing then on Friday. They had to rush NXT wrestlers that barely got there in time for SmackDown. It was basically an NXT event on Friday Night SmackDown, which I didn't see, but Daniel Bryan fought the NXT champion, Adam Cole, on Friday SmackDown. So I guess that's what I mean. Hey, you made your money in Saudi Arabia, but that's the danger of doing an event like that. I guess that's halfway.
Yeah, I mean that's scary. I mean that's frightening stuff for I think anyone. You never know. Especially because there were initial rumors.
What were the initial rumors?
That it was over.
Money,
because very true. Saudi, they had not paid the WWE for all of the shows. There was money due.
They still owe money on these shows?
Yeah, they owed money on the shows, and there was rumor that a certain broadcast had been pulled down because Vince hadn't received the money, and then
so they were fucking with them now.
And then now they're it's really not that funny. It's kind of terrifying that. These people's lives and their ability to travel and their well-being is kind of fucking in the balance here over money bullshit and arguing between
not just
Saudi Arabia
and authoritarian government.
Yes, an authoritarian government. And then it's money issues between them and Vince McMahon. I can't imagine. I mean,
that was a report from Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer Radio. His sources said that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia owed WWE money from its previous show in the country, Super Showdown in June. Vince McMahon reportedly cut the live feed to Crown Jewel in the country as part of the dispute. I didn't hear about that.
But they said that. But then they came back and said that wasn't why they did that.
They said it was. Now they're saying that WWE's official statement was that the charter plane the company was planning to use experienced mechanical issues that precluded it from flying. Yeah,
basically,
you think?
These fucking rich boys are arguing back and forth over how they're going to play with their toys and who's going to get paid for it, and the wrestlers are getting fucked big time in the meanwhile.
According to Meltzer, McMahon and a handful of stars, including Hulk Hogan, Brock Lesnar, and Ric Flair, were able to leave on their own private jets, which left a lot of people very, very upset. WWE had to significantly alter its plans for Friday's edition of SmackDown, with so many wrestlers still left in Saudi Arabia. Holy crap!
If I was a wrestler for the WWE right now, I would not think that company has my best. I mean, not that I would have thought that, but I would be afraid to work for that company. They do not care.
This is a 10-year, $450 million deal for WWE. That's what it is. So they're basically getting $45 million per show, I guess, guaranteed on top of whatever the hell else goes on. So, wow. Well, there you go. Well, you wanted your money. You got to play with this government. I think AJ Styles did a Q&A on his streaming and saying, "Oh no, it was mechanical things. We were allowed to get off the plane. There wasn't anything." They were fucking with them. Probably they're probably like, "Oh, we got mechanical issues. We'll deal with it."
You'll never know. But but it's a scary situation to be in, and to feel like you don't have
control of it.
Your control of it, and your company, and to feel like your company doesn't have your back is what's terrifying.
They better get these wrestlers that go to these shows a ton of like bonus money. They better. I mean, I'm sure that's part of it to go over. Some wrestlers are still refused to go. Like Daniel Bryan doesn't go to any of these. I think John Cena went to one of them, but didn't go to the other ones because they have issues with it.
Yeah, I know he didn't go to I don't think he went to the first one, or he went to the first one and none after that. I can't recall.
But Daniel Bryan doesn't go to any of these, so good on them for not doing it, because they have obviously issue with Saudi Arabia's human rights and treatment of women and things like that. So, all right, well, it's a weird situation, but Ian, there's going to be 8 more years of this to deal with. Or is it 2 a year or whatever, 5 more years? I thought it was a 10-year deal, but they've been doing it's a 10-year deal. So far they've been doing 2 a year. So we got 16 more events in 8 years roughly. Great. Well, at least they didn't chop anyone's hands off, that would have been bad. I think they did that there. All right. We're starting the show after our slapdash intro.